and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to talk about 10 dog idioms in English. And my goal is by the end of this video that you will not only understand these idioms or expressions or phrases, but that you'll be able to know how to use them in everyday conversation, as well as understanding the history behind these expressions or phrases. So let's get into it. Our first dog idiom is sick as a dog, and this means to be very sick. This is a very common expression that you will hear in America.
101 degrees. Sick as a dog.
For example, this past August, I was sick as a dog. I had to stay home and rest. According to gingersoftware.com, the origin of sick as a dog is quite interesting. It says, the origin of the phrase sick as a dog can be found in the early 1700s when it was common to compare undesirable things to dogs. The explanation for this isn't that people didn't like dogs, it is that diseases such as the plague were often spread via animals like rats, birds, and, unfortunately, dogs. Our next dog idiom is all bark and no bite. This means someone talks tough or is threatening to do something but doesn't follow through on what they said. For example, don't worry about that girl. She's all bark and no bite. She won't do anything. The phrase all bark and no bite came into use in the mid-1800s and is derived from the idiom his bark is worse than his bite, which had been in use since around the turn of the 19th century. Both of these idioms invoke the image of a barking dog that does not follow through on his hostility with a bite. Number 3. Barking up the wrong tree. This means to follow the wrong course of action because of an incorrect belief or idea. For example, the detectives were barking up the wrong tree because one of their key witnesses lied to them. gingersoftware.com. And so the origin for barking up the wrong tree, according to this website, says the origin of the idiom barking up the wrong tree dates back to early 1800s when hunting with packs of dogs was very popular. The term was used literally at first when wily prey animals such as raccoons would trick dogs into believing they were up a certain tree when in fact they had escaped. Dogs barking at the base of an empty tree were said to be barking up the wrong tree.
It's that one, mate. Dog barking up the wrong tree.
So, hence that idiom. Number 4, dog eat dog world. This refers to a situation that is highly competitive. For example, being an online ESL teacher in a dog eat dog world is difficult. It's so hard to get students because there are so many other online ESL teachers. According to EnglishGrammarLessons.com, the expression dog eats dog world comes from a contradiction of the Latin proverb, a dog does not eat the flesh of a dog. The earliest version of the English version of the saying appeared in print in 1543. However, the quote thought responsible for the modern phrase comes from Thomas Fuller in his book Nomologia, published in 1732. And according to www.smh.com.au, the original Latin phrase, dogs do not eat dogs, implied that only people, driven by survival instincts in extreme circumstances, resort to cannibalistic sub-canine behavior. So there you have it. That's the origin of dog eat dog world. Dog-eared. We refer to a book, magazine, or paper as dog-eared when the corners are messed up as a result of using it a lot. For example, my favorite book that I had for many years is now dog-eared. off the dogs. This means to stop criticizing, attacking, or damaging another person. For example, I told my mother to call off the dogs after years of criticizing me. According to www.myenglishpages.com, the origin of call off the dogs says the dogs referred to in this phrase are hunting dogs. These dogs are often loosed as a form of intimidation. When they finish serving their purpose, they are called off and returned to their kennel. Underdog. This is a competitor that is largely expected to lose. For example, this year for the Super Bowl, I am rooting for whichever team is the underdog.
Because he certainly has something to prove. Great catch! Touchdown!
The word underdog first appeared in the mid-1800s and is derived from the illegal practice of dogfighting, the underdog being the one that loses the fight. Number 8. Can't teach an old dog new tricks. This is used to say that a person who is old or is used to doing things in a certain way can't learn or doesn't want to learn a new way. According to www.dictionary.com, the origin of this idiom, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, this website, the first records of the phrase you can't teach an old dog new tricks comes from around 1636. It's a variation of the it is hard to teach an old dog new tricks. That phrase comes from John Fitzherbert's book of husbandry, where it was, which was in 1523, where it was used literally to refer to the difficulty of teaching an old dog a new skill. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, and the older it is hard to teach an old dog new tricks both allude to the tendency for older dogs to have more difficulty learning tricks and skills than younger dogs. It may be more challenging, but it is still possible to teach old dogs new tricks. Number 9. Work like a dog. This means to work extremely hard.
And I work like a dog day and night.
For example, I have been working like a dog all day. According to nationaltoday.com, the origin is quite interesting. The saying comes from farm dogs who work from the crack of dawn till the sun sets, and sled dogs and sheep dogs that perform grueling tasks every day. Number 10. Let sleeping dogs lie. This simply means to leave things the way they are, because if you don't, it could cause an even more difficult situation. For example, my husband and I decided to let sleeping dogs lie and never bring up that subject again. According to English Study Online, this ancient phrase originated in the 13th century. Later in the 14th century, it was used by Geoffrey Chaucer in one of his books. I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong. Which says, it is good to avoid waking up a sleeping dog. Let sleeping dogs lie derives from the long-standing observation that dogs are often unpredictable when they are suddenly disturbed. Imagine you come near a sleeping dog. You must be thinking the dog might not pounce on you or bite you, so it would be better to leave him sleeping. Similarly, it is better to be quiet and not to stir anything that might cause a problem. So that's let sleeping dogs lie. That's the origin of it. I hope that you found today's video helpful. And if you did and you really enjoyed it, then please like and subscribe to see more content like this. If you would like to practice speaking English with a native speaker, then please book a lesson with me and I would be happy to help you. My website is down in the description below. That's all for today, everyone, and I'll see you next time.